So injuries derailed my playing career at Spartanburg Methodist, and I stuck around as a student assistant for a few weeks. I'd go to practice, and man, I would sit in practice every day and just, I think I seriously became slightly, depressed. I was just like, I'm never gonna play again.
Man, me and San Fran is on the high like it's gold doves. Your career been going up and down like when shoulders shrug. No plan on using the advice you niggas giving us. If I fall, I'll just run it off like I'm Forrest Gump. Boogie down, I got you niggas shook like I'm B-Love. Fishy places, I don't go in my city like the G clubs. Yeah, iPhone is on, but understand that ain't no reaching us. Ran through, but posting on the gram like we all scrubs. I swear it shows, I always smile when I'm pissed off. Wonder where you from, cause it ain't matching what you giving.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Hype Around. I'm Shot AMG. Of course, I'm joined by David Moore.
Yes, sir.
Courtney G. And today we got a special guest. We have a Mount Pleasant native. He's a former state champion as a coach and as a player, back-to-back as a coach, former all-region, all-low country. And
I was all-state, too.
All-state, too.
Don't forget it.
I'm here with the head coach of the Lucy G. Beckham Bengals, Andrew Glover.
Let's go,
Hey,
man.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
Well, thanks for being here. Like you said, you are a Mount Pleasant, South Carolina native. We are in Mount Pleasant right now.
We are.
So I kind of want to just dive into like your childhood and how it was like here in Mount Pleasant. I mean, it's a beautiful area over here.
Definitely.
Beautiful school that we're in. So what was your childhood like, being in Mount Pleasant and just growing up here?
Well, it was super cool, Courtney. I grew up around the corner in Snee Farm. Literally 5-minute drive from where we're sitting right now. My mom is still teaching PE and the volleyball coach at Wando. So up until about '04, this was where my mom worked on this campus. This was old Wando. Where our parking lot / practice fields are over there, there was a church, and then in between the church and Wando was a preschool called Woodland Hall that I went to. My first school experience at Woodland Hall was on this campus. Most of my free time was spent on this campus. Wando moved out to where they are now, and this became sort of a holding ground for schools that were being renovated along the way. And I went to James B. Edwards Elementary, which is right down the street, and then went to Moultrie Middle School. And during my time at Moultrie Middle School, my 6th and 7th grade year, the school was being rebuilt. So I spent my 6th and 7th grade year in school on this campus at Old Wando. That's crazy. And then 8th grade, they opened the new school. We were the first graduating class from that new school on Coleman. That's beautiful. And then went out to Wando, and it was a blast. Mount Pleasant at the time, we had one public high school. So everybody from all the elementary schools, all the middle schools, we all went to Wando. It was like a super team, in every sport, regardless of win-loss record. I mean, we just had every player, every kid from Mount Pleasant went to one high school. It was so much fun. Dang. The hallways were packed every day.
I was just about to say, did it feel like a little overwhelming sometimes?
I never felt overwhelmed because I love big areas. I love big crowds. I love people. But basketball-wise, in Mount Pleasant growing up, it was a blast. We always had, a lot of talent. When I finally got to Wando, I think we were ranked number 1 in the state 3 of the 4 years at some point in the year. But just growing up in Mount Pleasant, it's such a beautiful town.
Yeah.
Between the beaches being right here, great food options, downtown's right over the bridge. But I've seen it grow exponentially over the last few years, which is pretty cool. Left for college, came back, and a lot of stuff is different now.
Do you have any core memories though from your childhood that kind of have stick with you as an adult that you'd like to share? Any fun times or fun memories with your family? I know you have siblings.
Yeah. I have older brother, older sister, Alex and Christina. They were great athletes. They're way better athletes than I was. And I would even go off to say Christina was a better coach than I was. She's not coaching anymore, unfortunately. She was a volleyball coach at Dorman High School in Spartanburg. And we just always were busy growing up, whether we were watching our mom's games, whether, we were following, Christina around with her volleyball career, or going to Alex's games. Some of my best memories are watching my siblings play sports growing up, and then, finally me being to get my chance at making my own memories on the court was phenomenal. There's so many wins, the losses, the workouts, the camps, it all ties into just being just a pretty lucky childhood.
So just all sports all around in your family.
That's pretty much it.
Wow.
And so I know that you kind of talked about, obviously the growth that has taken place in Mount Pleasant, since you're, a native here. You talked about you went to college. Talk us a little bit through your college experience, right?
Okay.
Kind of bounced around a little bit. You were hooping, obviously. Tell us a little bit about kind of where you started off and what was your thought process. Was it, I'm trying to make it to the NBA? Was it, I know that, I just love playing basketball and I'm going to end up being a coach? Or just talk us through your college experience.
Well, I'd say when I was in middle school, I thought I was the next LeBron James. As time went on, things started to really set in. My high school career was I wouldn't change it. My sophomore year, we were #1 in the state. I was the only sophomore on the varsity team. I never played. I think I played like a total of 30 minutes the whole year. There's 32 minutes in a game. So I played less than one game, the whole year when you add up the time. Junior year, it was, kind of a hit or miss thing. I'd play a lot one game, not play too much the next game. A little confusing, but, I still love basketball. It is what it was. Going into my senior year, I was like, man, let's take this thing seriously, trying to figure things out. I had been being recruited by some schools. Nothing too crazy, nothing really stuck. My senior year, Division III school, Marymount University, really came on strong, and they really wanted me, had offered me a spot on their team. Division III can't offer scholarships, but they wanted me to come. So my dad and I, we hopped in the car and we went on a little trek. We went up to Marymount University, and we also stopped off at Massanutten Military Academy, which is a prep school, and Hargrave Military Academy, which is another prep school. And we got up to Marymount, saw everything. The campus is beautiful. Coaches were great. For me, I think at the time I was so hungry to play Division I. My sister played at South Carolina. My brother played at the Citadel. My mom played at South Carolina. My dad played at Radford.
Wow.
So I wanted to play Division I. I didn't want to be the only kid in my family who didn't play Division I. So we visited the prep schools. My dad played at Massanutten Military Academy. He went prep school. And we got there, had a great time, played a little bit. I really enjoyed it. We stopped back down at Hargrave Military on the way in, and had the same sort of deal, try out, tour the school, all that. And man, I loved it. The head coach, the assistant coaches, everybody I met was phenomenal. And I just really fell in love with the idea of, hey, I had a great senior year, okay junior year, didn't play much sophomore year. I'm a little behind the curve. So I elected to go to prep school. I went to Hargrave Military Academy for a year. It was about 7-8 months of my life it was kind of like that gap year between senior year and freshman year of college. So I got to, grow a year older. I put on 25 pounds like we were talking about before we recorded this. Yeah, I went from 183 to 208 in a year.
Big dog.
My experience there, I ended up getting offered by USC Aiken. Very fortunate, and committed there. They were coming off of a Final Four run. They had made it to the Final Four the year prior. I was excited. Signed my letter of intent and went to Aiken. During that process, the coach that I signed to play for, he took a job at St. Leo University. We had a new coach come in, Coach Vanderslice, and played out my freshman year. Decided at the end of the year that it's probably best that it's kind of a mutual decision that it was probably best that I left. So I went to Spartanburg Methodist, and through that whole transfer recruiting process, is completely different from today. There was no portal.
Right.
So I had to get my release and present it to schools that wanted to recruit me and things of that nature. And elected to go junior college. I really, was still on that decision of, hey, I want to do, the biggest and best things of my career. So I went junior college hoping to get a really, really good Division II offer, or hopefully sneak in Division I if I played well enough.
Right.
Unfortunately, injuries derailed that path, and I'm blessed to this day. I got the opportunity at the age of 21 to coach my first team. It was one of those situations where I don't know if I'd be here right now if my career didn't end the way it did.
Right.
So you put those things in perspective of everything happens for a reason. I wanted to be a pro. I wanted to go play in Greece. I'm Greek. My family's Greek. I wanted to go play in Athens, Greece. I had decided that NBA was far shot. I wanted to be a pro. Wanted to make money living in Greece, seeing my extended family. But coaching has just been the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
Talk a little bit about that first coaching experience at 21, right? Like, that's an incredible opportunity, right? And it kind of seems like this has been a little bit like the calling card for your career so far, right? Like maximizing opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So talk to us a little bit about that first coaching role at 21. Like, what was your role? What were you doing, and what experience did that give you to then go into Gray after that, right?
After that, yeah, I was. So injuries derailed my playing career at Spartanburg Methodist, and I stuck around as a student assistant for a few weeks. I'd go to practice, and man, I would sit in practice every day and I think I seriously became slightly, depressed. I was just like, I'm never going to play again. And I finally went to my coach one day, who, we're still great friends. I was like, man, I got to get away for a little bit. And I wanted nothing to do with basketball. Upward Stars is a local, AAU program up there in the Spartanburg area. And my sister was coaching volleyball for their volleyball club. And they were looking for basketball coaches for their basketball side of things. And my sister told the director, Ben Baldridge, my brother is just sitting at the apartment, not doing anything. Please call him, like he needs something to do. So Ben calls me, and we're just talking, and he goes, I need an 8th grade coach for our AAU program. And I was like, how much does it pay?
Right.
I'm 21 years old in college. That's pretty much all I cared about at that point. I didn't really care about basketball too much, but it was from end of February to end of May, and I was like, 3 months. How much does it pay? He's like, $750. And I was like, cool.
Let's ride.
Let's do it. And I went with it, and he's like, hey, I'm going to watch a high school basketball game tonight. Do you want to come? I was like, I got nothing else going on. Mm-hmm. So went with him. Great game, met some people. Next morning, he's like, hey, we got a workout with, 2-3 guys that we really want, you to work out. One of them was a kid named Zach Baldinelli. Another one was a guy named Talon Cooper, who's playing for South Carolina now.
Sheesh.
And then I think the third one was Miles Tate. I can't remember exactly, but he played at Butler. He's somewhere else now, but he's a phenomenal player.
Shout out.
And all 3 of those guys are big time. I think Zach's now a head coach in the upstate. But they all decided to come play after the workout we put them through, and it was very cool. It was a situation where, Ben was kind of testing out what I had to offer. I think Miles ended up going to play for another team eventually, but about a week or 2 later, Ben calls me. He goes, hey, little change of plans. Can you coach our 17s team?
Okay.
And my first thing I said to him was, I'm 21, man. These kids are like 4 years younger than me. And he goes, yeah, I know. I just think you'd be great. And I was like, well, how long is this season? Because I'm planning on ending in May. He goes, well, you'd have to go all the way through July. And I was like, really? He goes, I'll give you $250 more. And I was like, sign me up. Let's do it. Man, I fell in love with it. I was like the kid's older brother. I would play and practice with him every day. I would drive him around. We had a kid on our team who lived in Lawrence. So I would drive from
to drive.
Spartanburg and meet them halfway, pick them up, take them to
Wow.
practice, drop them back off at the gas station. It was a Valero gas station on exit 41 on I-26. Shamik Gaskins was his name. And just really just fell in love with being around the guys, being around the game again. It was so much fun. It was to the point to where, you know, like making $1,000 over like 4 months is like pennies
Right.
to the dollar.
Yeah.
So, you know, I wasn't doing it for the money at that point. It was a blast, man. And after that year, I obviously graduated from Spartanburg Methodist, decided to go to South Carolina. And fortunately, my coach from Spartanburg Methodist, John Crimmins, made a call to Dion Bethay over at Gray. And, you know, I walked in one day, polo shirt, tucked in, all the things, met Dion and Mark Cooper and Dr. Newsom and Adam Holmes and all those guys. And Gray became a home for me. It was a great outlet for me, something to keep me busy while I didn't have basketball playing in my life. I had basketball coaching and mentoring, so it was
That's awesome.
very fortunate.
Good stuff, man.
I do want to take a few steps back because we didn't really get a chance to talk about your high school career.
Oh yeah.
So how, like you say, you won a championship, but you didn't really play. So
I played my senior year.
you did.
Yeah,
That was the year
yeah,
they won
yeah.
state.
So
Yeah.
how did you
Played a lot my
remain-
senior year.
how did you remain confident when you were on a team where you weren't playing versus a team that you were an important piece to the championship?
You know, it's something you don't see too much anymore.
Mhm.
I loved, and I still do love, Wando High School. It was my home. My mom has been there for 37 years this year, 42 overall. I was a Wando Warrior. Whether I was playing 32 minutes a game or I was playing 32 seconds a game or not even taking my warm-up off, I was proud to be a Wando Warrior. I can remember being a kid shooting around in the gym, in the back gym of Wando while my mom had practice, and just thinking, you know, I want to win a state championship here one day. You know, I want to be the first to, you know, win a state championship. My brother and my sister never won a state championship in their sports. So that was like my thing. I was like, I want to do this. And, you know, sophomore year, I was just so happy to be there. I was so happy to be on the team. I've always been a team first guy. I just love the idea of being a great teammate. It's something that I try to instill in our guys here every day. Just being the best teammate you can possibly be, because at the end of the day, you know, the people around you is all you got. So sophomore year, I was just happy to be there. Junior year, I was definitely frustrated at times because I felt like I should have been playing, but it's the coach's decision. It was, you know, what he was doing, what he thought was best to win. It was something I really had to swallow, because no coach goes into a game trying to lose.
Right.
So if I'm not getting the minutes that I think I should be getting, he's obviously seeing something different. So I stayed on the path. I just stayed solid and kept working. And going into my senior year, you know, I was captain. I was a starter. I was, you know, kind of all over the place, taking charges, hitting threes, hyping up the crowd, whatever I could do, you know. So, you know, just I loved being a Wando Warrior. And I think today kids don't necessarily have that same mentality. The transfer culture that is prevalent today, especially at the college level, but you know, it does seep down into the high school level. You know, if you're not, you know, playing the minutes you think you should be playing, you just want to jump ship and go somewhere else. Like, trust the process and love where your feet are. Love where your feet are. Be where your feet are, but love where your feet are, because you're so fortunate to be at a public school that's so nice and so new. You're so fortunate to be at a private school that's so nice and does so much for you. You know, people don't understand how fortunate that they really are in moments where they get a little bit selfish, wanting to have more for themselves. You know, care about, you know, it's so much bigger than it needs to be. You know, that whole mindset of, I got to go get mine, I got to go get mine. You know, people forget there's 5 people on a basketball court. There's 15 on the team most times. I think I keep 18 on my team. And I tell my guys straight up, it's mathematically impossible to get everybody the minutes that they want to play. So we just got to really love being together and pushing towards one common goal.
Now, being the teammate to lead your team in that championship, how was the environment like after that in school? Like, were there people trying to be your friend, or, you know, you losing friends, or, you know, how was it? How was the energy after that?
I don't think I ever lost friends.
Okay.
That's not necessarily who I am.
Yeah.
Probably gained some friends.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily remember. I can remember the days leading up to the game being pretty special.
Yeah.
The town was buzzing. You know, we had the police escorts. I can remember to this day leaving. We met in our coach's room, which was on the second floor, walked out of the main, you know, stairwell to go down the main hallway to the bus, and the whole school was in the hallway lining the halls.
That's dope.
Wow.
That's special,
The
man.
whole
That's
school.
dope right there.
It was out of a movie.
Wow.
It was insane. You know, Lucy Beckham and Bob Hayes. Bob Hayes was our athletic director. Lucy Beckham was our principal. Two people that I knew very well my whole life. And, you know, they were unbelievable leaders and wanted to do those little things to make, you know, moments surreal.
Yeah.
It's something to where I'm getting chills right now, you know, thinking about it. Those days leading up were some of the best memories of my high school career. It really puts everything in perspective, like we talked about not being able to play, or not playing a whole lot early on. Like, it didn't matter anymore. But after we won, you know, just people recognizing, you know, me or my teammates, or, you know, if we had a, you know, Wando basketball shirt on, or, you know, people coming up to me and my parents eating dinner and saying, hey, you know, I think there was a restaurant down the street that had the game on all the TVs. They advertised, if you want to come watch the game. They're like, hey, we watched your game on TV at, you know, so-and-so bar and grill down the street. It was awesome. You know, I still have people to this day that, you know, we had a career fair the other day in this gym, and I saw one of my mom's friends, and he was like, yeah, you know, I was at your state championship game. I was like, really? That's awesome. You know, I since I've been back, I've just had people here and there just like, hey, you know, I remember when y'all won the state championship. We actually drove up to Columbia to watch that game. No association with the school, just drove up to the game. So, you know, it's just really, it was a surreal moment. You know, I've been fortunate to win 3 of them, 2 as a coach. Every time is pretty awesome. And after the fact, you know, you feel good, and it's a feeling you'd never trade.
That's good. I mean, and I also want to shout out too for the players who feel like they're being benched or they're not playing and stuff. Prime example, be patient, y'all. Be patient. Your time will come and it'll happen. So.
For sure. Andrew, I do want to talk about that for a little bit. You mentioned, you know, you got 3 rings now, right? 1 playing, 2 coaching. And that's rare. Like, there's lifetime coaches who have coached, you know, they're in their 70s and they still haven't won 1 ring, right? They've been coaching for 40, 50 years. They've been playing their whole life, right? They never won a state championship. You won 1 playing that you were a major contributor to. You got 2 rings coaching that you were a major contributor to. What makes you a winner? What makes you special? Now, like, as an assistant coach, people, you know, some people might not want to give you like the credit for those wins, but at the end of the day, it takes everyone to win a state championship. It's extremely difficult. So why are you special? What makes you special that you have 3 rings and before the age of 30? And what are you bringing to Lucy that's going to get them a ring?
I think it goes a lot deeper than what I provide, or what I'm able to contribute or bring to the table. Whenever you're fortunate enough to win a championship, everybody's got to be bought in, everybody's got to be on the same page. You got to know your role to the best of your ability. When I was a player, I wasn't the guy that was going to drop 20 a game by any means, but I was going to do my best to do all the little things, take charges, box out, get rebounds, find the open man, hit the open jump shot. I was not one that was going to break you down, dribble moves, take you to the rack and dunk on you, nothing like that. I wanted to maximize my role, which was just doing anything it took to win. And I think I've transferred that over into my coaching career. And that is where, as an assistant, Dion Bethea, phenomenal basketball coach, Louis Dreer, phenomenal basketball coach, Mark Cooper, Junior Laurie, Brandon Wallace, Thomas Perez. We had a phenomenal staff, and we all knew our role. We never overstepped. We never stepped on toes, anything like that. We had a great cohesive unit. We had great players. I could go down the line. We had 9 guys play college basketball over 2 years that I was there, and the only senior who didn't go play college basketball played college football. So, we had great players, we had great coaching, we had great leadership, and I just wanted to do whatever it took. Whatever anybody didn't want to do, I was willing to take on just to make somebody's life easier, whether it was breaking down stats, entering stats on Huddle, coming up with new plays, encouraging the guys, getting in the gym with the guys, one-on-one, working with them. Whatever it took, I was willing to do. And I think when you know your role and you can be great at your role, it makes everybody else's life so much easier. And I think that's what, if we can build a culture, which we've done a pretty good job thus far here at Beckham, of everybody understanding their role and maximizing their role and willing to do the little things that you might not want to do, but it's necessary in the pursuit for winning. I think that we could really make some noise here. We made it to the Elite Eight last year, ran into the juggernaut of Irmo.
Right.
They ended up winning it all. But we had a team last year who had been together for 2 years. We brought everybody back going into that year last year. So, this year, it's a whole kind of different look. We have 6 guys returning from last year's team and 11 new faces. So, it's a lot of learning, a lot of growing. And what I'm trying to get through to them is, when you can focus in on what you can control. Not what you can't control if a ref is blowing his whistle for us or for the other team or whatever. You can't control whether you're hitting shots. Okay, it's just a fact of life. You can't. Nobody's perfect. I'm not a perfect coach. The ref isn't a perfect ref. But if we can control, do the little things and find our role, communicate our role, and really maximize our role individually, it brings the whole team together, and the buy-in is what separates the good from the great.
That's awesome, man. I kind of want to touch a little bit on something that I see in you that probably has been a major contributor to your success, is your maturity level. It seems like you have really good perspective, and I wonder, what do you attribute that to? To be able to get a head coaching job at a 5A school at the age of 24, I mean, it's got to be a record, or, there's not many people have done that across the country, right? Maybe it was a combination of a perfect storm, but at the end of the day, what do you attribute your maturity level to, and why do you think you were able to get that such a coveted job at such a young age?
Before we get into the serious part, I want to say when I was hired, I'm pretty sure I was the youngest head coach in high school league history.
Crazy.
And then the next year, Brady Shuck beat me by about 8 months.
Okay.
So I think Brady has the record as of right now, but that's a song for another dance. I think it goes back to my first coaching job. I was 21, coaching a 17 and under team. I had guys on my team that were unsigned seniors, so they're 18 years old. Being 21 and thrown into that fire of I'm responsible for 12 kids that are literally old enough, like those guys on that first team, we're friends now. Like, I have friends.
The same age essentially.
Yeah, I have friends that I've met in Charleston that are younger than those guys. You know, I'm 28. You know, it's water under the bridge now between me and those guys. But when I was put in that position, I'm obviously the adult, and I realized real quick. I fortunately had great people in my life, my mom, my sister, my dad, other coaches that really just sat me down and said, hey, listen, like, as you go through this, like, you have to understand there's a line that you can't cross. I think one of the best bits of advice I ever got was don't play with your players in practice. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, if it's necessary, like if you're short guys and you have to step in, that's one thing, but don't just play them to play them. And I was just kind of thinking about it, and I'll play with them every now and then now just to kind of, you know, get some blood flow
get
going.
Some cardio.
Try to help that out a little bit. But I wanted to do everything I could to build the relationships but not cross the line. And it was tough. Being so young, you know, I'm a kid. I was a kid. I still am a kid. And you just have to remember that these kids, they look up to you as a role model. So you have to be doing everything to the best of your ability. You can't falter. You can't miss. You know, if you do, you own up to it and you're better the next time. And I think that's one thing that I've really taken to, of just, I got to be on it all the time. And some people are like, you know, they'll see me, I'm a very happy guy all the time. If I'm ever like really locked in or serious, it's because I need to be. And you know, people are always like, you know, you look so much, you act so much different on the sideline than you do, you know. I'm like, I have to be. You know, it's, when you're a coach, you're a leader. You guys all know that. You have to hold yourself to the highest standard possible. You don't want your guys to see that you're cutting corners or you're cheating the system or anything like that. You want to be as straight edge as possible. Accountability is everything. And I hold myself accountable for everything. Every little thing, I hold myself accountable, and it's something I want my guys to understand too. Every kid I've ever coached to understand is accountability is everything. So I think, you know, being so young, the relationship building is easy. Right. I'm young, I connect to them well, I can really help them with their game. If I need to show them something, I can step on the court and do it, which is awesome.
Right.
But being that positive role model in their life and mentoring them and showing them that, hey, accountability goes a long way, and not only am I holding you guys accountable, I'm holding myself accountable at all times. And I think that's what really sticks out most of the time for these guys is just to see, like, hey, you know, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. But if you can be the best that you can be, as much as you can be, it goes a really long way.
And before I dive into my question, I do want to double down on that. And players do relate to coaches that actually played the game more. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Versus a coach that never played the game. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I would definitely say that you already had an edge going into it because they know you played and you're a champion. Mm-hmm. And you were all state. You know what I mean? So you were a big deal. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So my question is, how do you manage all 15 to 18 players and managing, like, keeping them confident, keeping them competitive, and keeping them with because you had the stay ready mindset, because you went from not playing to a champion. Mm-hmm. So how do you keep all 15 ready at all times that at any moment they can get called into the game, and they have to play their role?
That's why I have the best assistant coaches money can buy. It's brutally tough, to be honest with you. We do everything we can to make sure we document or evaluate. We're always evaluating. I've told the guys every day, since day one of year one, every day is a tryout, whether you know it or not. Every day is a tryout. Nothing's ever guaranteed. Nothing's promised. We stat practice. Our student assistant, Hudson, he stats practice every day. He keeps up with rebounds, turnovers, charges, loose balls. If you mess up an offensive play, if you nail an offensive play, same thing on defense. We
shout
grade
out to Hudson.
Shout out Hudson, he's the man. We grade their energy and their effort every day, and that's something that I love to look at. It's not always the most accurate, but it's something that I can look at and say, hey, you didn't have a great practice today, right here. What do you need to pick up tomorrow? And it's all things that you can really control: energy, effort, enthusiasm, knowing what you're doing. I think the biggest thing, managing a whole team, having everybody on the same page and just communicating with them and saying, hey, this is where I see you right now. And this is where I think you could be, but you got to do X, Y, and Z to get there. And you got to, it's not you do it tomorrow and then you're off the next day. You got to do it tomorrow and the next day and the next day and every day after that. You got to master it. You have to master it. And it's a trust thing. It's a trust thing to the backs. And I think between building the relationships with the kids, they really take to. My assistant coaches, Marquise, Ben, my father, Ransom, Jeff, Adam, we all do a really good job just connecting with the guys to where they can feel how much we care about them. And they know how much we care. We might get frustrated sometimes with them, and that's normal, but they know that we care, and communicating with them 1 through 15 and just, reiterating to them to trust the process and just keep working, because you never know what could happen. It's an everyday thing.
Now, I like to hit on mental health on these podcasts, and I used to be a teacher.
Okay.
So I know how it is,
Good for you.
Teaching kids and being around, and it's rough sometimes. And I want to know, how do you keep your mental health going, and how do you stay positive? And I know you're going to have there's going to be days where you just don't want to come in and you don't want to coach and things like that, but how do you keep yourself going?
The support system you have around you is everything. I have a phenomenal support system here at Beckham. We have some of the best leadership and administration that is in school systems today. My work friends, they're amazing shoulders to lean on, cry on, whatever it may be, to laugh with. But then it goes so much further. Once you leave the building, you're not going back home and sitting there with your boy who teaches across the hallway from you. I have just some of the best support, behind closed doors. And I love basketball. I want to be here every day. It's the best part of my day every day. Teaching, I love those kids. And I've found a true passion for being there every day for them. It's something that I wouldn't trade. Just being able to interact with them and build the relationships with kids that don't dictate whether I win a basketball game or not. It's pretty awesome. I have a fun class. I teach marketing, which is a blast. We do a lot of projects. We have a lot of fun. We'll go outside for a day. It's a lot of flexibility in that class, because it's an elective. We're learning about business. There's certain things that we can translate over from real life into the classroom, and vice versa. So the kids really enjoy it. So it makes the days a lot more fun. There's definitely days though where I don't want to come in. There's definitely days where I wake up and I'm like dragging a little bit. But once I get going, and all it takes is one kid to smile, and I'm good. Or just to hear the ball bounce, and I'm good. Or watch a little bit of film and get fired up for practice that day, or thinking about the game the night before. It just never stops for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
If you can, I want you to go in detail for me real quick. Your first game, what was your mentality then, and what have you seen in yourself from the last game that you coached that is completely different, and what do you kind of think has stayed the same over the course of your coaching career as well?
The last game I coached was a heck of a lot closer than the first game I coached. Our first game, we played Pinewood Prep at Cathedral Academy. We were down 8 at halftime. Going into the game, I'm like, man, if we can just hold on. You know, I don't know if y'all know, but the first year we were open, we only had freshmen and sophomores in the school. So we were playing a varsity schedule with freshmen and sophomores. So, you know, there's a big difference between a freshman and sophomore and a junior and a senior. Huge. 1 and 11 will show you how different that is. I was going in, I was feeling good. I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest, because I'm the first year head coach, and I was figuring, you know, we were probably going to get drummed a good bit. But I was kind of curious, honestly. I take things very seriously. Like I was telling you guys, I like to run this program similar to a college program, as close as possible. So, you know, we had the pregame scouting report. We had the pregame meal, the pregame warm-up. We take things we roll in, we're all wearing the same thing. There's no headphones. Everything's very professional, you know, trying to build a culture. And we went into the game. We're down 8 at halftime. My best player, Thomas, he threw up at halftime, and that was during the height of COVID. And he wasn't sick. He had just ate something before the game that didn't really sit well with him. He played all 16 minutes of the first half and just kind of heaved it. And we unfortunately had to sit him out the rest of the game because of, you know, the scares of COVID. And we ended up losing by like 30.
Damn.
It was frustrating. I don't like losing. I hate losing more than I love winning. I try to keep a positive mindset whenever I lose, to try to learn, try to stay positive for the guys. I know that, you know, they hate it too. It's not fun by any means. I always say the most fun you're going to have is winning games. But leaving that game, I was kind of like, man, if this is what, you know, every day is going to be like, I don't know. And really tested me. And the next day we went out and won our first game by 17 against Charleston Collegiate. So to be able to win a varsity basketball game with freshmen and sophomores was unbelievable. It really made the season, made the kids, you know, just really love where they were. I think that they realized what they were getting themselves into. But one thing about that crew that I always preach to them is, you know, we might lose by 40, we might lose by 50, but we never stop playing hard. We play hard for all 32 minutes. We never stop, ever. Don't quit. Don't ever lay down. If I see it, I'm pulling you out. We're putting somebody else in who wants to be on the court. And that was the best compliment. I think I received it almost every single game that year was your kids play hard until the very end. They do not stop playing hard, and that's something that would stick in the back of my head. I would tell them in the locker room after every game is, guys, if we can keep this energy, effort, enthusiasm, and every single thing we do, we will be winners, whether you know it or not. And I think that's what really transferred over into the second year, third year, and where we are today.
That's awesome, man. And so, obviously, you know, it's easy to sit here and say that, like, you know, every coach wants to say, like, you know, we want our guys to, or at least any coach worth a damn, right? They want to say, hey, we want to be playing hard and intense the entire game, but there's so few teams that actually do it, right? So, you know, it obviously starts with you. So how are you setting that example for them every day? Because at the end of the day, you have to bring that energy in order for them to follow, right? And that's not easy to do.
No, it's not.
It's not easy at all. And it might be one of the hardest challenges as a coach. You know, you talk about accountability. So, you know, how are you enforcing that, and how did you create that culture, you know, with Lucy basketball that we're going to be competing for all 32 minutes?
I think it's, it really starts from the top, like you said. It's the energy that we as a coaching staff bring into the gym every day. We have to be locked in. We have to be prepared. We have a detailed practice plan going into every day. Do we follow it always? No. Some things get scratched. Some things get added in. But we want to be prepared. We want to be juiced up. We want to go in with a mission of what we want to succeed, what we want to accomplish that day. And I think by the guys seeing how much we put into it makes them want to give everything they got. We're very demanding of our guys. Everything we do is competitive. Everything has a consequence. Because we want them to have that fire in them at all times. If we're doing, it could be the most simple shooting drill. The loser's running. Okay? We want them to have that pressure in practice to where when they get in the game, they don't crack. And they can go as hard as they need to go at all times. We say, go harder in practice than you would in the game. If you can go harder in practice and still find success doing what you want to do in the game, once you get in the game, it's easy. We want practice to be harder and more intense than the game, and I think setting that precedent in practice each and every day is what makes the difference and what really can carry over in their heart and their mind to be able to step on the floor and play hard for all 32 minutes.
That's awesome, man. I'm learning a lot from you today. I myself am a young coach, and I'm going to try and continue to learn from you. I'm going to ask you another question. I want to talk about your ambition, right? Obviously, you're an ambitious person. You have to be extremely ambitious to take the kind of risks that you've taken in your young career, right? And to get to where you are today. What advice do you have for other ambitious young coaches like myself, who I want to be a head football coach one day, right? I take it day by day, of course, but what advice would you have for young coaches who are looking to climb in their career? And I guess what were the main factors that allowed you to continue advancing?
I think when it comes to young coaches and wanting to advance in their career, one thing is, I can attest to is you got to know people. You got to shake hands. You got to build relationships. It's going to take you a far way. Outside of that, you got to be consistent. You got to be consistent in what you do. You got to practice what you preach. And you got to make yourself available. You have to make yourself like a Swiss Army knife, really. If the littlest things matter. Doing the laundry, sweeping the floor, setting up practice, breaking down practice, whatever it takes. You got to make yourself available. You got to make yourself, useful. And I think for young coaches, they really got to buy into, earning their keep, because what's going to happen is it develops that work ethic. Okay, I spent some time at Eastern Kentucky right after college. I spent some time at USC Aiken right after that, and one thing that I really tried to do every day was work as hard as I can, do the little things to the best of my ability, whether it was setting up, breaking down practice, watching film, cutting film. At Aiken, I was the class checker. I think I was the best class checker in Division II sports. But it was something that I wanted to do. If I had a responsibility, I wanted to make it my responsibility. I wanted to own that responsibility. So I think for younger coaches, just doing your job, fulfilling your role to the best of your ability is only going to make you better, but only take you farther. People watch. People notice whether you're doing a good job or not, especially older head coaches who have been around and have been in your shoes. Because you got to think, those head coaches that are a little older, they were once assistant coaches back in the day, however long ago it was, but they've been in your shoes. They know what it takes. And I think just, being consistent with that, taking on responsibility and owning that responsibility and doing it to the best of your ability is really going to take you far.
Yeah, touching off that, could you talk a little bit about the impact your parents have had on you in terms of your coaching career? Obviously, your mom, lifetime coach, and same with your dad. So kind of just touch on the impact that they've made on you and kind of what example they've set.
Well, my mom, I tell you what, my mom has never woken up a day in her life and dreaded what she does for a living. She's been doing it for this is her 42nd volleyball season.
Sheesh.
Okay? She's never once woken up and been like, I don't want to teach and coach volleyball today. I think that's a beautiful thing. And that's something that I've learned from her is, the second you wake up in the morning and you're dreading what you're doing, you should probably find something else to do. Being happy in life and really enjoying what you do and having strong passion for it is everything. My dad, I kind of roped him into this, unfortunately. I know he loves every second of being in here with us, and I think he did this on purpose personally, but I got the head coaching job in May of 2020, and in October of 2020, he called me at school one day and said, hey, I'm retiring. He worked at a bank. And he said, I'm retiring, just want to let you know I'm going to be done in, the end of the month. I said, perfect, it's right in time for basketball season. He's been with us ever since, and the kids love him. The parents love him. We call him Coach Pops.
That's awesome.
Because they all call me Coach Glover. I just don't want to keep it, confusing or anything.
Right.
So we call him Coach Pops. The kids love him, man. He's like their dad. He's like the program dad. It's awesome. But he does everything for us, man. He breaks down stats. He takes live stats during the game.
Wow.
He is not afraid to tell me what I don't want to hear, by any means. Sometimes I think he might care about it more than I do, and I love that because I need somebody to keep me on all the time. Because what we do for these kids is so important, not only for wins and loss purposes, but for their life, and just showing them how much we care. But having both of them, be here for me and be such great mentors. I mean, even my mom she's won over like 1,300 games and 4 state championships, and
Sheesh.
she films my games just because she wants to, it's a great lesson for young coaches out there. My mom is a 2-time National Coach of the Year, Hall of Fame, and she's willing to come to my games and film my games for me because I need somebody to film. I also think it keeps her a little bit calmer during the games, something for her to not have, nerves. But she loves doing it, and she's willing to do it, and she enjoys it. I hope. I've never really asked her, but I hope she enjoys it. I appreciate her a lot because finding a good film person is important. But, the example they've set for me and not only myself but my brother and my sister, couldn't ask for better parents for the profession that I'm in or even the childhood that we had playing sports all over. I mean, both of them were collegiate athletes themselves. My dad played basketball. My mom played volleyball. And, the examples that they were able to set just really, helped me, be the person I am today.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome, definitely, to be able to work alongside with your dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, during the games, what is it like being with him and having to work and stuff like that? Like, how's the energy like? Like, do you get frustrated sometimes? Is it do y'all bump heads?
No. We never bump heads,
No?
actually. By any means. We have great chemistry amongst our staff. To be honest with you, it's almost like he's not my dad. He's just my assistant.
Wow.
Especially,
That's awesome.
during the games. I'm so wound up and all over the place. I'm sure everybody in here knows that. But yeah, I mean, he's the man. He's the
dope.
best. And we all want to win. We all want to be successful, and none of us like losing. So.
Dope.
Good stuff, man. Well, listen, we know that you got a game coming up here,
Yeah.
right? Tuesday,
Tuesday
Porter
night.
Gowd.
Yep. Whiteout.
Whiteout.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I will be here to support Lucy.
You
support
wearing black or white?
Listen, I'll be on the away side. My little brother plays basketball for Porter Gouds, so I'll hope that he drops 40 and then maybe you guys win. Exactly.
That'd be a perfect story.
Right.
I'll take that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll take a win anywhere I can get it.
But listen, man, we really appreciate your time today. I think that some of the gems and the knowledge that you dropped today is going to be invaluable for a lot of people around here. The Mount Pleasant community is going to be really excited, to learn a little bit more about you. And thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. Thank you guys
Good
for
stuff.
having me. This was a blast.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Let's go.
Thank you, Hype Season.
All right.
Be visual.
That was it. We good?
That's the
Woo!
hype round.
Let's go, man.
Appreciate
Good
you, man.
shit.
Yeah,
Appreciate
man.
Hey, you
you.
killed
Appreciate you.
How you feel? I know you might need some water, man.
Appreciate it. Got a dry mouth.
Yeah, good stuff.
Thank you, sir.
Man, me and San Fran is on the high like it's gold doves. Your career been going up and down like when shoulders shrug. No plan on using the advice.